The hospital's fluorescent lights buzzed softly, casting a sterile glow over the emergency room's chaos. Nurses scrambled, phones rang, and the air carried the sharp sting of antiseptic. Then, the sliding doors hissed open, and a collective gasp silenced the room. A scruffy German shepherd, his fur matted with dirt and blood, limped in, his eyes fierce with purpose. Clutched gently in his jaws was the sleeve of a young girl, no older than 10, her face pale, her clothes torn, a deep gash across her leg oozing red. The dog didn't waver, dragging her carefully across the tile until he reached the nurse's station, where he let out a low, urgent whimper. No one could believe what followed. The girl, Lily, was barely conscious, her small body trembling as the nurses rushed to her side. The dog, whom they'd later learn was named Max, stood guard, his hackles raised, growling softly at anyone who moved too quickly. Dr. Sarah Ellis, a seasoned physician with a reputation for staying calm under pressure, knelt beside Lily, her heart pounding. The girl's pulse was weak, her breathing shallow. "We need to get her into surgery now," Sarah barked, but her eyes kept darting to Max, who refused to leave Lily's side. He wasn't just protective, he seemed to understand the gravity of the moment, his brown eyes locked on Lily as if willing her to survive. The story began 3 years earlier in a small, rundown neighborhood on the edge of town. Lily lived with her mother, Jenna, a single parent scraping by on a waitress's tips. Their life was tough but warm, filled with love despite the cracks in their apartment walls and the constant hum of worry over bills. One rainy afternoon, Lily found Max, then a skinny stray, shivering behind a dumpster. She begged Jenna to let him stay, promising to share her food and walk him every day. Jenna, wary but unable to resist her daughter's pleading eyes, agreed. Max became Lily's shadow, her confidant, her protector. He slept at the foot of her bed, followed her to the bus stop, and waited patiently each afternoon for her return. Their bond was unspoken but ironclad, forged through quiet moments, Lily reading aloud to him from her library books, Max resting his head in her lap. But life wasn't kind. Jenna's hours at the diner dwindled, and the neighborhood grew rougher. Gangs loitered on corners, and break-ins became common. Lily, small for her age but fiercely independent, often walked home alone from the library, with Max at her side. That evening, the sky was bruised purple with an approaching storm. Lily, engrossed in a book about constellations, took a shortcut through an alley, a decision that would change everything. 2 men, faces shadowed by hoods, stepped out from behind a stack of crates. They demanded her backpack, but when Lily clutched it tighter, one grabbed her arm. Max lunged, teeth bared, driving them back, but not before a knife flashed, slicing Lily's leg. The men fled, but Lily collapsed, blood pooling beneath her. Max, whimpering, nudged her face, licking her cheek until she stirred. With strength no one could explain, he gripped her sleeve and began dragging her toward the hospital, 3 agonizing miles away. Back in the Sarah faced a dilemma. Lily's condition was critical, her femur was fractured, and she'd lost too much blood. Surgery was risky, and the hospital's policy forbade animals in the operating room. But Max wouldn't budge. When an orderly tried to lead him away, he snapped, his loyalty fiercer than any rule. Sarah, who'd grown up with dogs and understood their instincts, made a call. "Let him stay," she said, her voice steady but her gut twisting. She didn't know why, but something in Max's eyes told her he was more than a pet, he was Lily's lifeline. The surgery was grueling. Lily's heart stopped twice, each time sending Sarah's team into a frenzy. Outside the OR, Jenna arrived, her face streaked with tears, having been called by a neighbor who'd seen Max dragging Lily through the streets. She collapsed in a chair, clutching Max's fur as he pressed against her, his warmth a small comfort. Hours later, Sarah emerged, exhausted but relieved. Lily was stable, but the next 24 hours were critical. Max, allowed to stay in the recovery room, curled up beside Lily's bed, his head resting on her hand. The nurses, initially skeptical, began to whisper about the dog's uncanny devotion. One even swore she saw Max's ears perk each time Lily's monitors beeped, as if he understood her vital signs. The hospital's strict protocols began to bend under the weight of the story. News spread, first among the staff, then to local reporters who caught wind of the hero dog. By morning, a small crowd had gathered outside, holding signs that read, "Thank you, Max." And Lily's guardian, Jenna, overwhelmed, sat with Lily, who was still unconscious, and told Max stories of Lily's courage, how she'd once stood up to a bully twice her size, how she dreamed of becoming an astronomer. Max listened, his eyes never leaving Lily's face. Sarah, too, found herself drawn to the trio, checking on Lily more often than necessary, her clinical detachment cracking under the weight of their bond. The challenge came on the second day. Lily developed a fever, a sign of infection, and her condition worsened. Sarah ordered aggressive antibiotics, but the hospital's resources were stretched thin. Jenna, unable to afford private care, felt helpless, her guilt over Lily's shortcut through the alley consuming her. The community, moved by the story, rallied. A local veterinarian offered free care for Max, and a crowdfunding campaign raised enough to cover Lily's medical bills. But the real turning point came when Lily stirred, her fingers twitching against Max's fur. "Max," she whispered, her voice barely audible. The dog's tail thumped, and Sarah, standing nearby, felt tears prick her eyes. It was as if Max's presence had pulled Lily back from the edge. Days turned into weeks. Lily's recovery was slow but steady, each milestone celebrated by the hospital staff, who'd grown fond of Max's quiet vigil. He became a symbol of hope, his story shared across social media, inspiring strangers to send letters and donations. Jenna, bolstered by the support, found a better job, and the family moved to a safer apartment. Sarah, reflecting on her own life, long hours, no family, a string of failed relationships, began volunteering at a local shelter, inspired by Max's loyalty. The final scene unfolded a month later, when Lily, now walking with crutches, left the hospital. Max trotted beside her, his fur cleaned and gleaming, a red bandana tied around his neck by a nurse. The crowd outside cheered, cameras flashing, but Lily only had eyes for Max. She knelt, wincing, and hugged him, whispering, "You saved me." Jenna, tears streaming, thanked Sarah, who shrugged it off, saying, "It was all Max." The story ended with Lily looking up at the night sky, pointing out Orion to Max, promising to teach him the stars. The message was clear: love, in its purest form, can defy the odds. Max wasn't just a dog, he was proof that loyalty and courage can bridge even the darkest moments, reminding us to hold tight to those who matter most. As the YouTube video fades to black, the screen lingers on Lily and Max, their silhouettes against the starry sky, a testament to a bond that no one could have believed until they saw it.